So yeah, I know people who really like Mamma Mia, and I can sort of understand why. And I also know people who really hate this film, and I can definitely understand why that is. Mamma Mia is an awful film, both as a musical and as a story. I did not like this movie as a teen, but I've heard people say they think it's really good, and it made me wonder, really? So years later, I decided to go back and rewatch it, just to see if my mind changed. But honestly, it's as bad as I remember. I mean, saying you like a film is one thing. To say it's good is a harder argument to make. And in this case, I personally do not think either. There are films I enjoy, and I could not possibly say that they were good with a straight face. Those films are ironically enjoyable to me. And I've heard a certain number of people who liked Mamma Mia say they didn't think too much about the actual quality of the film. I mean, Mark Kermode said he enjoyed it, but that it was
the closest you're ever going to get to see A-list Hollywood actors basically doing drunken karaoke.
And honestly,
it's funny because it's true.
If you like Mamma Mia, or consider it a genuinely good film, that's fine. Opinions are opinions. But it just doesn't do it for me, and here's why. The writing is just so mind-numbingly stupid. The story exists because every character in this film is an idiot, to the point where Skye, a character we barely see, is probably the smartest. The blatant stupidity of these characters is honestly through the roof. The very idea of Sophie believing she'll know her dad when she sees him, is that a figure of speech? Because she takes it very seriously, even expressing surprise and disappointment when she doesn't recognise who her dad is. What the hell were you expecting? In fairness, there is a saying, I'll recognise them when I see them, but that's usually when you're trying to remember what someone looked like. But in Sophie's case, this would be impossible, because she's never met them. Donna is also very stupid, primarily in how she never once considers that Sophie invited her ex-boyfriends to the wedding, especially when there's no other potential suspect. She really couldn't consider telling a made-up story to Sophie about how 3 random men have shown up, which could lead to them talking things out. What's more, why does Donna have the addresses for 3 men she hasn't seen in 20 years? And at one point, she sings about the potential necessity of marrying a wealthy man, yet she never considers tracking down the men who might have fathered her daughter, despite having their addresses.
What have they ever done for their daughter? Donna, they didn't know she existed. Well, they didn't need to know, did they?
They would if they were to be there for her, Donna. The 3 dad candidates are pretty slow in picking up things as well. Sophie invited them all to her wedding, told them she was Donna's daughter, and they all described their encounters with Donna. And yet, it takes until Sophie's bachelorette party to figure out one of them as her father. It's pretty embarrassing that Skye, the fiancé we barely see, is the smartest character in the film. A character who, for some reason, bounces around a port in flippers with his pals. When we first see him, he hugs Sophie's friends to the bed. Bloody hell, Skye, you just got here. And Donna and her friends have a very weird fascination with how Skye intends to advertise their filler, by putting it on the internet. Have these people seriously never heard of the internet? But, to be fair, he pretty much scolds Sophie for not telling him she invited her dad candidates, and storms off. And I can't blame him, to be fair. Plus, this exchange is so stupid.
You invited these guys and you didn't tell me.
No, I thought you would try to stop me.
Then why would you tell him at all, you big banana? Not to mention, they have this argument, which is one of the only scenes of chemistry they have, along with a pointless song that tells us what we already know. But then we never see them resolve their argument before the wedding. The exceptional mishandling of the cliché here is perhaps even worse than the mishandling of the lie reveal bit in A Bug's Life. And speaking of clichés, this film has a lot of them. To go over all of them would take forever, but Nostalgia Critic has already covered most of them, so I'll go with the main ones. Comic relief talking in union, dressing in silly clothes, the argument, and interrupting a wedding. Another one Doug brought up was be funny, but not really. And that can pretty much apply to this film. The comedy in this film is not funny. Rosie is one of the comic relief side characters, and we get this overlong joke of her falling off a boat. If you know anything about comedy, you'll know that the faster it is, the funnier it is. And this joke doesn't work because it's too slow and predictable. The reason Simon falling off the boat in the in-betweeners is funny is because it's not one joke, it's lots of smaller ones working off each other. In roughly the same amount of time, we get Simon trying to get a view of the sea, Jay and Neil capsizing the boat, Will deciding to turn around, and Simon falling in the sea. The 4 small pieces of comedy work off each other, and it becomes hilarious, which this does not. Stop replaying this clip. I'm tired of falling in the fucking water. Oh, okay.
I saved you!
I think the side plot about Rosie hitting on Bill is supposed to be comedic, but it's not funny, and it feels tagged on, just like a lot of things in this movie. We also get a side plot where Tanya has a fling with Skye's best man Pepper, who we barely see. Why are we focusing on this? How is this relevant to anything? And they have a song. which I will get to later on. So yeah, the writing for this film is awful. But that's okay, because the singing and song numbers are really good, right? Right? No, they're not. I was being sarcastic. Okay, not all the singing voices are terrible. Amanda Seyfried and Dominic Cooper are passable. And while Colin Firth sounds like Kermit the Frog doing a Michael Caine impression,
I can still recall our last summer.
his singing is probably the only ironic enjoyment I get from this film. Bless him for actually being interested in this film, which is more than I can say for a lot of the cast. I love Meryl Streep as an actress. Who doesn't? But this is not the performance she should be remembered for, because it is actually painful to watch her in this. When she acts or sings in this film, she always sounds like she's either drunk or being tortured. Though if she did decide to get drunk to do this film, I guess I can't blame her. But her singing is actually pretty good, compared to Pierce Brosnan. I have not heard a single person say they like Pierce Brosnan's singing. He outstinks everyone in this movie, and critics drew several unfavourable comparisons in his singing, like comparing him to a wounded raccoon, or a donkey braying, or my personal favourite, sounding like he's being given a prostate exam off camera. If I was to add my own take on how awful his singing was, it would be sounding like he got kicked in the groin and had to sing out the pain. This is honestly one of the worst singing performances I've ever seen. This makes Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast sound like Billie Eilish. So, the singing is overall pretty awful, especially from most of the leading singers. And the song numbers are honestly an embarrassment too. The whole point of a musical is to have the song and dance numbers move the story forward. And although a few song numbers in the film do work in the context of the story, particularly with Slipping Through My Fingers and Our Last Summer, most of them feel tagged on. One that my friends have tried to justify is Honey Honey, which they describe as introducing us to the characters. But it doesn't work, because if you removed it, you would have just as much exposition, as this all comes from the dialogue. All the song tells us is, Donna had sex and she liked it. And Sophie is strangely obsessed with her mum's sex life, literally squealing, ... I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she asked her mum this.
Anyway, how is your sex life?
Can you imagine Tommy Wiseau in this film? Oh hi Donna, I read your diary and the ... and I'm digging the shagging queen. Ahahaha. Okay, I went a bit off topic there, but so does this movie most of the time. Anyhow, in regards to the song telling us Donna had sex and she liked it, it doesn't even really work from that viewpoint, because of the 4 verses, only 2 are sung from the diary. The other 2 come out of nowhere, and at this point, Sophie is no longer reading from the diary, or talking about her mum's sexual encounters. She literally throws the diary to the sofa for the final verse. But that's just one song. Let's look at some of the other ones. Earlier I was talking about how the film is not funny. Well, as Doug has similarly mentioned, there is actually a moment in this film that has a very easy chance of succeeding. This being Donna discovering her ex-boyfriends together. But what do? They throw us into a song that not only has nothing funny in it whatsoever, as was intentional, but is also way too upbeat. You could very easily rewrite the scene without the song, and have Donna freak out loudly, which results in the boyfriends being conflicted, but deciding to investigate anyway because someone could be in danger. They go downstairs, discover Donna who freaks out again, tells them to leave, and then runs off. But that's just my idea on paper. It would also have to be executed well in order to be funny. We then get Tanya and Rosie trying to lift Donna's spirits by singing Dancing Queen, except the lyrics are kind of awkward given all the chaos of the situation, and the fact that towards the end, it ceases to be an intimate song between the 3 of them, and spills out into a huge crowd. After the song Our Last Summer, which actually does give proper exposition through song, as well as time spent between Sophie and her father candidates, it's followed up less than a minute later with a completely pointless and bloated song number. All this song tells us is, Sky and Sophie love each other. Whoa! Lucky you told me that, lay all your love on me. The fact that these 2 are about to get married was too subtle for me to grasp, and I never could have worked out that Sky and Sophie loved each other unless you were giving me this overlong, pointless song to clarify this. Plus, Sky's friends popping out the water and bouncing around the port in flippers? Totally an extra layer of clarification. And this is one of the last songs in the film, but I should look at The Winner Takes It All. Although people say it's supposed to be a metaphor for Donna realising she loves Sam after all, there's 3 major problems with it. The timing, the context, and the pacing. 1. Why is Donna singing the song when her daughter is about to get married? 2. The lyrics seem out of place, given that Sam didn't exactly take it all when he left. Yeah, he's had a good life, but look at what Donna ended up with. An island, a villa, 2 close friends, and a daughter that might be his. I think to say he took it all is a bit of a stretch. 3. The song goes on for far too long. Sophie's about to get married, and this song lasts 5 minutes. 5 fucking minutes! And it ends with this for some reason. And this isn't even the worst song inclusion in the film. The worst song inclusion is Does Your Mother Know? There is absolutely no reason for this song whatsoever. It doesn't even involve any main characters. It basically introduces this pointless side plot where Sky's best man Pepper is flirting with Tanya. Why are we focusing on this? And for 3 minutes no less. This is one of the worst paced films I've ever seen. I consider giving it the dishonour of being number 1 on that list, but then I remember that the Transformers sequels exist. So it's definitely a contender for number 2 if we include those films as one. So, this film features awful writing, pacing, comedy, singing, and choreography. But does the incredibly stupid conflict actually come to anything? No. So, after the wiener paces shit all, we get to the wedding. And of course, we have Donna and the 3 father candidates interrupt it. Totally haven't seen that before. And what does it come to? A DNA test? No, of course not. Sophie says she doesn't mind not knowing who her dad is. So she created this mind-numbingly stupid conflict, stressed Donna out a certain amount, and for what? For what? It didn't amount to anything more than a single drop in a limitless ocean. And this was not an ocean with a multitude of drops. It was an ocean with a multitude of stupidity and pointlessness. Well fucking done. Sophie also decides not to get married.
Sky, let's just not get married yet. Let's just get off this island and just see the world, okay?
You can't do that if you're married? Some would make the argument that Sophie and Sky decide to pass the wedding on to Donna and Sam. But you need a license for that. You can't just pass the license over. I titled this part of the video, The Ending, but I suppose I probably should have called it The Main Ending. Because this film has a lot of endings. The film tries to give every major character an ending, and somehow ends up having more endings than Return of the King, a film that was wrapping up the arcs of the characters in a 9-hour franchise, or a 12-hour one if referring to the extended editions. Not a sole 2-hour film. So, I guess I didn't get a whole lot out of this film overall, but there was one scene that stood out to me, amidst all the mud I had to squelch through. So, I mentioned that a few of the song numbers in Mamma Mia do enhance the story in some way. Our Last Summer actually provides insight into the time Donna spent with her ex-boyfriends 20 years before. Chiquita, kind of, features Tanya and Rosie singing to Donna when she's in despair. And SOS kind of shows a development in the rekindling of the romance between Donna and Sam, and in a much more fitting way than The Winner Takes It All. But there is one song, and sequence in particular, that does shine through, and is part of the reason I felt the film merited a 2 out of 10, rather than a 1 out of 10. And that is Slipping Through My Fingers. Through this song, Donna helps Sophie prepare for her wedding, and is acknowledging the great times they shared, while also accepting that her daughter has grown up, and is about to lead her own life with her main guy Sky. The scene lasts 4 minutes, but it actually warrants it. And although Meryl Streep's performance and singing for the majority of the film sound drunk, her singing here is actually okay. Plus, they paired her up with Amanda Seyfried, who is one of the few actors in the film who doesn't sing terribly. It's an emotionally gripping moment that the rest of the film could only dream of living up to. And if you've got to this point in the video, you're probably thinking, oh come on Ned, just lighten up and appreciate the enjoyment of the film. Well, in regards to this, I can't even get ironic enjoyment out of this film. Not only is this film a failure in terms of actual quality, but for me personally, it also fails to serve any fun or ironic enjoyment, except maybe Colin Firth. The film is so melodramatic that it becomes much more annoying than enjoyable, and I do question why everyone is this carefree the day before a wedding. I've mentioned that I find the stupidity of the characters annoying. If this was played for laughs, like in say, The Simpsons or Spaceballs, then it could be funny, but you're supposed to take these scenes seriously, which just makes it annoying. The film feels more like an ABBA playlist than a coherent, well thought out film, but it honestly fails in this regard too, because most of the actors in the film can't carry a tune to save their lives. Which is a bigger reason I can't enjoy how bad the film is. And I like ABBA music, I just don't like the covers that the film provides. Watching this film is like showing up to a party you weren't invited to. Everyone is having fun inside, and you're just watching from outside, maybe pressing your nose against the window while doing so. The characters in this film probably have a blast, but unlike a movie like Mary Poppins, I just don't feel like I'm experiencing the fun with the characters. It's just kind of empty. So yeah, I couldn't find much to like with this film. I can see why people like it, and it's not particularly harmful or insulting, but regardless, I just can't stand it. And this is how I can easily resist Mamma Mia.
There it is! There it is!